Welcome once again to our session. We are studying the Golden Lotus Sutras. Just a reminder, these books, these Golden Lotus Sutra books, they contain the words of Master Choa. That's why they are very, very valuable to us. And, they are very tightly packed. The information, the knowledge is very tightly packed. So we have to make an effort to unpack or to, access the teachings which are actually very deep. And what we try to do here is just a sort of to create the interest. And may I suggest that you should afterwards also read by yourself. It's only 15 minutes. Reading by yourself will be another maybe 15-20 minutes. So just go over it yourself once again and try to get to the depth of, and maybe you will discover more depth, and which I would request you please share over here. All right, so we are on page 29. 29. We had read the first sutra the last time. Often people do not see and remember what is obvious, what is the real meaning of the thing. So we had already discussed it. Let me just give you a slightly different angle to it, a slightly different twist to it, which is that, have you heard of Sherlock Holmes? I'm sure everybody has heard of Sherlock Holmes. Yes. So in one of his, books and episodes, because it's both a book and then it's also, TV series and films and so on. So he tells his friend, Dr. Watson, he says, Watson is amazed. He says, I also saw the same thing. You also saw the same thing, but you saw much more than I did. So Sherlock Holmes tells him, Watson, you see, but you do not observe. You understand? You see, it's like this. Seeing is the work of the senses. So your eyes see, or actually your eyes gather the images, which all of us, our eyes are gathering. But then the mind takes over. The mind interprets, mind analyzes, mind breaks down, mind, puts together, mind matches, with past things that you have seen. You see like an animal which has a tail, 4 legs, a hump, a big belly, and you say, okay, this looks like the cows I have seen in the past. So you have observed an animal with 4 legs, and then your mind tells you that this is a cow, right? So something like that. Okay, let's move on. Accurate inner perception trains the mental muscles which are beyond the brain. You can take your mental muscles with you when you leave your body. Oh, this is very, very good advice, very useful information. So you see, you have to understand the brain is just like the instrument or the hardware, or the machine. It is when you practice accurate perception that builds the muscles of the mental body. So you are aware there are many bodies: physical body, etheric body, emotional body, mental body. Thinking, accurate perception is like exercising the mental body. It's like you go to the gym. Why do you go to the gym? You want to build the muscles of your physical body. Now there are these weights and machines and so on. If you just touch the weights, is it going to build muscles? No, you have to, make an effort. You have to exercise your muscles. And just doing it once is not going to make much difference. You have to do it regularly. So that is the advice Master is giving to us. He says, practice accurate perception regularly. Or if you practice accurate perception regularly, it trains the mental muscles. So it develops, it teaches the mental muscles how to, solve problems, how to interpret things, how to know the reality, more accurately. And now the other thing he's telling us, which is very useful information, he says you can take your mental muscles with you when you leave your body. So the mental development you have done in this lifetime will go with you in the next lifetime. So it's a good investment. It's really a very good investment. Investing in developing your mental body is a very wise and smart investment, because it is going to work with you in the next lifetime also. Have you not heard of people who are, at very young age, they are reciting the Gita, who are reciting some, ancient scriptures and so on? Why is that happening? Why are they able to do it? Or they are able to interpret very complex things. They have great mathematical ability. I'm sure you've heard of them or read about them. These are people who in the previous lifetime have done, a lot of exercise of the mental body. They have built the muscles of the mental body. That's why that is what is paying off into here. And if you remember in this book, page 4, if you want, you look it up, we talked about principles, siddhant. Yeah? Yes, you remember concepts, principles. Now that is where, that is the development, the mental muscles that you will carry with you. As many principles of life, of nature, that you have understood in this lifetime, they get stored into your, if you've heard of the permanent mental seed, they get stored there, or the permanent mental seed keeps a record of what are the principles you have understood. And when you come to the next lifetime, that memory is still retained. Even your Kundalini, you're aware Kundalini has many layers and sub-layers and so on. So whenever you understand some universal truth, one more layer of the Kundalini is awakened. Kundalini, we awaken it. Our job is to awaken it. So that gets awakened. Yeah. And I'm sure you have the Possible Miracles Golden Lotus Sutras. If you have read carefully, in one section, Master has broken down the entire pranic healing science into many, many principles. Yes, do you remember that? Somebody, some response? Yes, no? Either typing or you can unmute and talk if you want, but I hope you remember that, that there is, yes, okay, very good. So that's what Master is talking about here. Shall we move on? Accurate perception and correct expression mean that you have detachment. You have to maintain inner peace and calmness in order to see accurately. Now, this again is a very, very important sutra because it is telling you that to practice accurate perception, what state you must be in. आपकी अंदरूनी स्थिति क्या होनी चाहिए? Your inner state, what should it be so that you are able to practice accurate perception properly? Because I'm sure you'll agree, accurate perception is not that easy. It is not easy. It takes effort. It's a task. You see, what happens is when we have attachment, we get, another word for attachment is entanglement. We get entangled. When we get entangled, it's like we are seeing through colored glasses because those entanglements are distorting our vision. And these really come from the emotional body. They come from our prejudices, our sanskars, things like that, or even your current emotional state. The same situation you observe in a moment of anger, when you are angry inside, you will have a different observation. And when you see the same situation when you are calm and happy and, in a loving state, you will interpret it or understand it differently. Yes, you know what I'm talking about, right? And in science, there is what is called the Heisenberg principle. Heisenberg, I'll just type it here. You can look it up. You can look it up. It's 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 a very relevant principle because what it says in spirit, in essence, what it says is that the observer affects the observation. And that is the same thing that Master is saying, that when we are attached, we are unable to see things accurately. We are unable to perceive accurately because we are attached. Yes. So one of the tips that master used to give is that before you do something like that, you isolate your aura from the situation, from the people who are involved in the situation. Yes. Isolate the aura, your aura, so that there is to some extent a disentanglement, or otherwise the simple way is cut. There's a situation, there are the people, you say cut, 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 all cords cut. Yeah. Okay. Shall we move on? Suffering is brought about by the unrealistic expectation that nothing will change. Suffering comes from inaccurate perception and unrealistic expectation. What Master is not mentioning here, but it is the inaccurate perception and the unrealistic expectation is that you think that right now I am in a happy situation and this will not change. You see, this is also a type of attachment. You get attached to the situation and you say, oh, yes, right now my husband is very loving, or my children are listening to me, or my mother in law, or whatever. Life is in a good state. Money is pouring down. Oh, okay. Then you get attached to it. You refuse to believe that it can change. And one of the universal principles is the law of change, or the law of cycles. Things will get better and then they will get worse, and they will get better and they will get worse. It's a law. You can't do anything about it. So that is what Master is talking about. If you think that nothing will change, things will remain the way they are. You see, usually when we are in difficulty, we want change. But when we are in a good time, we are enjoying good times, we tend to, we don't want things to change. So Master is talking about that. Suffering will be caused because it will change. Nothing will remain the same. The only reality is that there is change. The only thing that is unchanging is change. And it's like this. Every moment, the world has changed. Every moment, now, world is changing, changing, changing. 1 second ago, it was different. It may seem like what has changed? Nothing has changed, but it has changed. You don't know, some part of the world, something has changed. And how it will affect you today, tomorrow, next year, you don't know. You cannot predict. Right? Okay. Let's read the next two sutras together. Accurate perception and correct expression is one of the most important of all the virtues. Self-honesty makes big heads small. If you are a businessman, accurate perception means you look at the market and you look at yourself. What is your strength? What is your financial capability? What are the talents that you have? You see, so what first thing Master is saying, this is one of the most important virtues. And there are many aspects to this. One aspect is that this virtue affects all other virtues. I think we talked about it already in a past session, so I won't spend too much time on that. But, to get the right quantity, the right balance, to know the right way of doing something, this virtue will help us. Yeah. I mean, just to give you a very simple example, we know we have to practice loving kindness and non-injuriousness. But, it doesn't mean that you practice it the same way with your children, with your spouse, with your elders, even with your children at different times. Your expression of loving kindness will change depending on the situation, depending on the person, right? And the other thing Master is saying is that not only your spiritual development, but even in life, this virtue becomes very, very important because, what is life except making the right decisions? If your decisions are good, your life will be good. Yes? What virtue helps you make the right decisions? It is this virtue. And Master gives the example here of investments. All of us understand prosperity, very, very important. So you make investments. Now, where should you invest your money? Where should you invest your time? So what Master has talked about in the last part of the sutra, this is what in business terms we call SWOT. SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So this is an analysis we do when some planning, when some decision has to be made. Should we invest in this? Should we go for this? Should we change direction? Should we do this? Strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. SWOT, SWOT. So you need to do that. And for that, again, accurate perception, intelligent evaluation, and correct expression. That's what all life is. I mean, if one of you see, we are who are we? We are Manushya, right? Manushya. Manushya comes from the word manas. Manas is referring to our ability to think. How forget pranic healing and spirituality and so on. What makes human beings different from the animals? Our ability to think. So this ability to think has to be developed. And the more you develop it, the better your life will be. The better your spiritual progress will be, the better your general, material life, family life, etc., will be. And one aspect I'll just talk about, I mean, mention it now, and we will do it next time. We will actually do some, experiments. Scanning can really help you. Scanning can become an important technique for practicing accurate perception. We'll go into more examples the next time. Right now, time is over. I'm sorry I've gone over the time. So let's end the session. Just give me a moment, please.